Let me add my welcome to all of you as well. And before we get started, look across this campus. Look how beautiful this is. Let's give all our folks in facilities a big round of applause. And as well, if you will, all our colleagues from Housing and Dining who helped set this up and make this all work for us. Thank you. So 20 years ago, do you remember where you were 20 years ago? I'm cognizant of the fact as I look out across all of you gathered here that some of our current students weren't even conceived 20 years ago. Others of you had yet to find your way into the graduate programs that would eventually lead you to become a part of the faculty that is the backbone of this university. Still others of you were at different stages of life, had different jobs, and hadn't yet become a part of the CSU and Fort Collins communities. For all of you who were not here in 1997, a little context might add some value. On July 28th, we received a very large amount of rain in a very short period of time over a very small area, causing Spring Creek to overflow its banks. CSU alone was flooded by more than 5 million gallons of water, resulting in water depths of up to 5 feet outside of buildings. Now, it may not have been the 50-some inches of Harvey, and it may not have packed 150-mile-an-hour winds like Irma, but these storms shared something in common. Lives were lost, and the work of lifetimes were washed away. I hope you'll join me in a moment of silence for all of those who lost their lives in these storms. Thank you. These storms also had something else in common. In their wake, we saw amazing personal sacrifice and the power of human resilience. At CSU, we received that from colleagues who poured out support literally from across the world. And we also gave it. We gave it to each other. As a young department chair, I remember the amazing number of faculty, staff, and students from other departments who were just around, willing to help out with whatever we could. 20 years ago, it seems, as time sometimes does to us, both like a very long time ago and also just yesterday. 2 months from now, I'll start my 10th year as a president of the university. And at that point in time together, we all faced a different type of storm. What we now refer to as the Great Recession was roaring to life, and we all stood astride a fiscal flood that also took lives and washed away the work of lifetimes, and also in its wake left us seeing personal sacrifice and human resilience. A decade. It seems to me, as time sometimes does, both like a long time ago and also just yesterday. One of the things that I have come to appreciate over the past 10 years is that one of the roles of the president of the university is to use important markers of time, inflection points, as a way of marking progress. And we do have much progress to celebrate. We've had more than 10 years in a row of consecutive record enrollments as Colorado's school of choice. We continue to have 1 in 4 of our students still the first in their family ever to go to college, and we experience and enjoy record levels of diversity among the student body. Retention rates and graduation rates rise, even as gaps in these parameters based on race or socioeconomic status decline. Awards, markers of scholarly productivity, extramural research funding, all of the things that mark this as one of the most productive scholarly faculties anywhere in the country continue to rise. We are now delivering all of our programs again in every county within the state of Colorado. We're reopening an agricultural experiment station on the western slope, and we're committing to doing our part to address the rural-urban divide through investments in programs at the new National Western Center. We stand here today amidst a campus that has been physically reborn, and we find ourselves nearly 2 years ahead of schedule in our campaign, the $1 billion State Your Purpose campaign that will conclude in 2020 as a gift to our university on our 150th birthday. Student satisfaction surveys, alumni participation rates, these metrics continue to surge while they sag nationally. What we do and how we're doing it continues to draw greater attention, not just across our state and the nation, but literally worldwide. And our commitment to excellence in everything that we do, both as individuals and collectively, has never, in my opinion, been stronger. Now, all of this work is due, of course, all of these successes are due, of course, to the hard work of all of you. And over 10 years, I have also come to appreciate how important it is for the university president to pause and to say thank you. This is a great university because you have made her so. I have also come to believe, that would have been a really good point to stop the speech, wouldn't it? Nice uplifting note, but alas, like my emails, I have also come to believe over the last 10 years that another one of the roles of the university president is to use these same markers in time, these same inflection points, to create perspective, to draw our attention to work that still needs to be done, to focus our efforts. We find ourselves as a society deeply divided, such that we struggle to listen to each other. We miss the abundant common ground that we all share, focusing instead on the relatively small things that divide us. Decades of turning our societal gaze away from racial injustice has produced a crop of racial unrest, and there are those in our society who would unsheath the scythe of hatred to try and harvest this cursed crop. Tools of communication that should bring us closer together instead have become megaphones for voices that would divide, isolate, and even intimidate us. And much of what reaches our eyes and ears so offends our sensibilities that we are willing to consider giving up First Amendment privileges that were given to us through the work of men and women who marched and fought and in some cases died to earn those for us. Against this complex backdrop of our society, our consciences as individuals call out to us. What is our role in bringing race and gender and power and privilege out of shadows so that we can actually discuss these things and make progress? How do we assure that free speech will never be muted, that we will never take for granted this gift that was presented to us, sealed with the sacrifice of those who earned it? While we can never protect members of our community from hate speech, how do we assure that the most vulnerable among us understand that they do not hear those words alone? They do not reject that ideology alone. They do not stand alone before those who say it. How do we make sure that all of us, CSU, as a community, stands shoulder to shoulder so that the vitriol and vehemence of hate speech crashes, broken and empty, against a solid shore, undergirded by the immense strength of human dignity? As we wrestle with these questions, we know that we can draw upon certain characteristics which we share as members of this community. First, we debate. We debate everything. We debate with our friends and colleagues. We debate with those people with whom we passionately disagree. We discuss, we express, we agree, we disagree, but we always defend each other's rights to our own opinions. And we hold ourselves to the standard of discourse worthy of our Socratic heritage. Secondly, we challenge ourselves. Just as scientists, we grudgingly bestow the term theory on a hypothesis when its piñata has withstood an intellectual battering. We look at our own assumptions, and we only afford them the level of conviction when they have stood up to the greatest intellectual challenge to which we can subject them. And third, we are composed of the DNA of land-grant universities. Born in the forge of war, we are committed to the idea that anyone and everyone who has the ability to earn a degree from a great institution deserves that opportunity. We care about what is within someone's head, but also what is within their heart, what their dreams are, and what knowledge they need to pursue those dreams. Armed with these characteristics, we can tackle cultural change. We can improve the way we treat each other, and in doing so, we can make progress on everything from living wages to non-tenure track faculty rights, to racial and gender equity, to sexual violence and suicide prevention. But make no mistake, if we do not rely upon these characteristics, we attempt to navigate the storm of our day, this maelstrom of ideas and conflict, without a compass or a sextant, amidst waves that threaten to wash over us. But we have those characteristics. We can navigate. We have a strong mast and a deep keel, and we have each other. In the face of all that 147 years has been able to throw at the community that is Colorado State University, we have stood strong, like an oak deeply rooted against destructive winds. And I have no doubt that we will emerge from our current storm with our commitment to free speech, our commitment to civil discourse, and our commitment to an inclusive and healthy community fully intact. There are others, decades hence, who will debate different issues, who will navigate their own storms, but they will do so under the protective arms of this great oak of free speech and civil discourse that we tend today. Columnist David Brooks writes about thick, sticky institutions that leave a mark on the people who touch them. Now, we're all diverse enough that I suspect that different organizations are thick or thin to different ones of us. But much of what Brooks writes resonates with me, and I suspect resonates with many of you about our university. Thick organizations, he writes, become a part of the identity of the people who make them up. People like the version of themselves that are called forth by the organization. These organizations serve a higher good, and they build an intimacy of identity through a common purpose. At Colorado State, that common purpose is simple and profound. It is to improve the quality of life. We do so through our discoveries and their application, through our students and our alumni, and we do so through our actions. Today, right now, how we support and care for each other. CSU, thick, sticky, leaving her mark on each of us, is who she is because you have made her that way. We as a university are blessed with great people, and you have made this a great university. But we are not as great as we could be. Indeed, we can be no more nor any less than what we choose to make this university. And I hope that you will join me over this next year in helping to take that next step in greatness, in making sure that the primacy of free speech is upheld and the critical nature of civil discourse is every bit as much a part of this campus, refusing to accept that one of these must be weighted in favor of the other. That is a goal worthy of our heritage. It is a goal worthy of our best efforts. And successfully achieved, it is a gift we will be proud to leave for those who follow. This university is great because you all have made her that way. And that is why it remains such a deep privilege for me to work alongside each of you. Let's have another great year, CSU. Thank you.